What's going on? Hope everybody's having a good day. What day is it? Wednesday? My Christ. I've been thinking. Doing some thinking. About time to think. And in my thoughts, I was thinking about Joe Rogan because I seen a clip. He talked to the guy, Colossal Biosciences. He was talking to the guy who I guess leads. Hey, what's up, Groot? I saw a clip of Joe Rogan talking about the dire wolves. Of course, Joe Rogan's already spoke to the guy who's leading Colossal Biosciences. That's the name of the company. If you heard about dire wolves coming back from extinction, they're not. What they did was they made GMO gray wolves. They made modded, the kids will understand the language of mods. They made modded gray wolves. So it's not actually reintroducing dire wolves. It's just gray wolves with dire wolf skulls. And of course, Joe Rogan's stuff is already clipped and it's already spread wide and far. And this guy who runs the direwolf reintroduction thing, he looks exactly like you'd think. He looks like a character out of Jurassic World. He looks like a billionaire who had too much money, who saw Jurassic World as a kid and was like, Mom, Dad, when you die and I get my trust fund, I'm doing that. He just looks like that guy. I don't know him. Maybe he's a good guy. Maybe he's not. Maybe he'll live long enough to see himself become the villain. But I seen this guy. And listen, we're going to get a little, would it be philosophical? We'll get philosophical. We'll get I don't know if this is philosophical, but let's go into the definition of bravery and courageous. And I just think Joe Rogan's a cliche. Just watching that clip, I was like, he's a cliche. He sits in front of American flags, smokes cigars. I seen the cigar smoke in the clip, thinking I'm the toughest there is. And I'm not saying he's not physically strong. What I'm talking about is he's a cliche, and he pawns himself off to people like, I'm a brave man speaking out, truth to power, questioning things. And I think Joe Rogan's a cliche. He doesn't speak truth to power. He doesn't question things. It's the illusion of that. And really, it's like this dude, and again, the reason I'm talking about Joe Rogan is because immediately this morning, I already seen that Joe Rogan interviewed the Colossal Biosciences leader. I don't know if he's CEO, owner. He's probably not the main tweaker scientist because the guy wouldn't have looked like this. But Joe Rogan interviewed the guy who's bringing back the extinct dire wolves. They're not. A zoologist out of New Zealand, I talked about this yesterday, link in the article. I wouldn't fight him either. I'm not talking about fight. I'm not talking about physical strength. That's what I'm saying. This is more philosophical. Because he's trained. But again, I'll get into that. I'm not talking about physical strength, even though he's 5'2". I met Joe Rogan before. We traveled in an elevator in Vegas together after one of our radio interviews. And he was angry that I said hi to him. But he's not. He's a cliche, if anything. But he already spoke to this Colossal Biosciences guy, and I didn't get to hear the whole interview. I really want to, but I just can't watch Joe Rogan. He's excruciating to watch. To watch a guy who pawns himself off as some questioner and harbinger of truth and all the, I don't know. It's exhausting. But I wanted to bring up the point that Joe Rogan, this dude, pawns himself off as some tough guy, not physically tough. Pawns himself off as a tough guy, meaning I challenge things, I'm not status quo. But he's a complete cliche, an absolute cliche. Okay? And he's rallied against trans people before, and he's rallied against, people who truly question things, like protesters and activists. And I point that out because I think some of the bravest stuff you could do is speak out in the face of all the cliche things, you know? So people who are trans or people who don't are being activists right now, there's a lot more than you'd think. But those people are truly brave. In the face of dissent, where this regime, where the most powerful seat in the world is saying, I'm looking into deporting U.S. citizens to Venezuelan labor camp prisons. In the face of that, people who still go out and protest and say, you know, we're not gonna take it, those are brave people. Joe Rogan, who's helping to maintain the status quo, who's buddy with Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and all their billionaires, and he has on all those people, and they don't question anything, and Joe Rogan clearly is backing this regime. You know, he's totally for the layoffs and uncovering without any proof fraud, just taking people's word for it. That's the other thing. He's such a cliche that a true person questioning it would be like, let's see the proof. Let's see, you know, something. And he doesn't do that. He just is told something and goes, okay. He even does that with guests. And the worst part is he does it with guests when he has a guy, Jamie, whose whole job is to like Google stuff. God. And meanwhile, Joe, you know, pretends to be a tough guy when what is his job? He makes fun of people, or looks down on people, or, you know, isn't supporting people that work at fast food to get $20 an hour minimum. He doesn't support that. But what does he do? He sits in a room, in an air-conditioned room, podcasting all day. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. And in fact, I think that's amazing. But I'm saying, like, you know, don't shit on other people's work. If you do podcasts, if you talk for a living, you can't say, what do I know? I just talk for a living, and then poo-poo on other people. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you that as somebody who, I worked in radio for 20 years. You know, like when people said something about their job, it's hard for me to make fun of it, unless, you know, I was trolling them or just being comedic. It was hard for me to seriously try to like enemyize, villainize somebody else because they, you know, did a different job. It's like, yo, I think all people, it helps society if everybody's paid well and people can purchase things and they can support local businesses, and not everybody has to go to Walmart for the lowest price, even though Walmart's not the lowest priced, even though Walmart's not cheap anymore. What the fuck are you doing, homie? You gotta make choices. You gotta decide. I subbed. I don't know who that is. CR7 edits. Thank you. Oh, hit subscribe with the notification bell. I go live every weekday. I'm going live later today. It's just, I was thinking so hard, my brain almost exploded, and my live stream just started up. I was thinking so hard, my live stream went bloop. We got to catch this. I didn't even do anything. I just my thoughts were so powerful. The live stream just started up. It said, roll tape, go. So Joe Rogan's a cliche. You're going to see a clip of him talking to the Direwolves guy. And I pray to God, I'm going to have to see if somebody clips Joe Rogan stuff more. Because I can only pray to the good Lord, baby Jesus, that Joe is like, do you think tinkering with this is a bad thing? Did you not watch Jurassic World, or did you watch it and think, like, my parents have enough money, I could do that? And I don't even know if this colossal biosciences guy has rich parents, but at this point in America, you can just say safely that people that are rich right now and young, they're not fucking geniuses. They were born rich, you know? It's pretty safe. I've been around long enough to now understand that, like, the real wealth is nepotism. It's your dad was rich, so you got to be able to do what you wanted. You got to go to the good schools. It's just like Trump railing against Harvard. And I'm like, Trump, you understand you're surrounded with Harvard graduates. Jared Kushner, Harvard graduate. Ron DeSantis, all these fools that surround you. Harvard puts out more grifters than they do wokeists or wokeology. They're tricking you, folks. Just fucking do a little critical thinking. But Joe Rogan is just a complete and total cliche. White guy, trained in martial arts. I don't think he's ever had a professional fight. That's the other thing, right? He's just an old white guy who had enough money to train in martial arts. And I say that because, like, I got to do boxing, but I did it because I was in radio, and I always got, like, you know, I had friends that owned the gyms and stuff. And I really want my kids, like, my daughters love jujitsu, and I can't afford to do it right now. I can't, you know, you got to have money to have your kids do any kind of martial arts. And that's tough. Joe Rogan, total cliche, white guy, trained in martial arts. No one can say he's not tough. And it's like, bro, tough isn't just about fighting, okay? And if it is about fighting, it's about, like, you want to be real tough, be at a street fight. Those are scary as hell. Or be a professional fighter. That's scary as hell. You know, going against other pros. Just being tough so nobody can, I think he did it. Or I think even Joe admitted it. He got into martial arts because he was bullied, and now he's a fucking bully. Because the fact that he's one of the wealthiest people, podcasters, one of the wealthiest people in America, easily, $100 million contract, you're in the top fucking 10%. And he turns around and uses his platform to fucking pick on people, the most vulnerable, the people that are the minority group. I say, and this is why my live stream just started up, because those are the most courageous people. If you're in a minority group, if you're like one of two people that are in a certain section of the country that are doing something, and I bring up like transgender or activists or, you know, people who speak out, those are the brave people. In a room where everyone's saying one thing, stand up and say another and see how you fucking feel. Because I've done that, and it's scary. And you try to teach your kids that, and you go, you're going to be so scared. It's going to feel like you black out for a second, but you just got to do it. When everybody's saying something, you know in your heart it's wrong. You got to stand up and just speak out against it. And Joe Rogan's not doing that. If anything, he's lean. I know he had those views maybe a decade ago, but now he's leaned so hard into the wealth and supporting a regime and supporting FISM and supporting people who have all the power and then pretending like he questions power. Like, you can't support the most powerful people in the world. You can't support the richest man in the world and also be like, I question authority. Like, you don't. You don't. You literally, look at your actions. You're not tough. You're not brave. You're not courageous. If anything, you're a coward. You know, you have access to those people and you don't question it. Joe Rogan is a fucking cliche, and people need to stop buying the BS he's selling, you know? And I wish he would go back to how he used to be a little bit with compassion and empathy. Money, I don't know, Joe, this is a call, you know? Come on, man. You used to say, like, people should have their kids deserve to have social funded health care. And you said you were on food stamps, and anybody that's been on food stamps, I don't know, all the people that I know that have been on food stamps don't turn around and go, oh, we should get rid of it. You know, like, that's a lifeline. You're eating. You're not a queen of anything. You get to not starve. So, I don't know. Just when you watch Joe Rogan, remember, he's sitting there in a comfortable, air-conditioned room, $100 million man, not questioning authority or pretending to, even though he's friends with the most powerful and wealthy people in the world. And think about who he's focused in on. He's focused in on those who were brave enough to just be who they are. The people who are just brave enough to be themselves in the land of the free. You're not free to be yourself. Anyone that does that, I have no respect for, and I gotta call it out. So Joe Rogan's a cliche. Thanks for joining. Hit subscribe. I'll be live later today, okay? Got to take a quick break from the live. I will be live again later today. Thank you so much for joining. Go listen to The Clash today. Go listen to some of The Clash music. Clamp Down. That's a good one. Go listen to that.